Hello and welcome to Springboard, a virtual university. My name is Albert Okran, welcoming you on behalf of Team Springboard led by Comfort. This is your most inspirational show and a point of convergence for the greatest minds. Your virtual university is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation in partnership with the Multimedia Group and proudly sponsored by MTN Pulse, the Enterprise Group, UMB Bank, with support from the graphic business. Today with me in the engine room is a dreamer and a doer. Gwyneth Gyimah Addo left her job in a high-profile bank to start Hair Senta in the trunk, or what they call the boot, of her car in 2009. 11 years later, after several awards and accomplishments, she is now running what is the market leader in the hair extensions business and a brand that is relevant across the continent. Gwen, good to see you.
Thank you so much, Albert. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's been a long time coming, this conversation.
Can you imagine?
But thanks for making time to be here.
Thank you.
So we try to unravel, unpack, understand what you do and what goes on behind the scenes. And for many people, Hair Senta will be probably the big billboards that they see on the Springtex Road, here, the magazines, the big shows at the International Conference Center, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But for me, I go way back several years. You come from a very entrepreneurial family, and for the benefit of those who may not know, the daughter of the entrepreneurial legend Alan Gyimah, were the seeds of entrepreneurship sown in your childhood?
Yes. Absolutely. You know, what can I say? My dad was somebody that earlier on, he's always inspired us. He's always pushed us to believe in ourselves. So I remember when I started work at the bank, everybody was kind of surprised because here was a girl I started trading when I was very young, maybe about 10 years old or younger.
Trading?
Yeah, trading. So I would put powder milk, in these little...
No, it's not powder milk powder.
Milk powder. Trying to make it sound bougie. So I'll have these, in these little bags of bread. Those
Yes.
wrappers where the breads are,
Right.
inserted. So I would have them, tie them up, and then take them to school and sell. And anytime my dad brought some brownie werewood that I thought was interesting and didn't fit me, I take it to the school to sell. So earlier on, I was somebody that was always passionate about trading. So at the bank, I knew, even though I could do what I was doing well, I knew there was a greater calling.
Just looking at you, were into frontline banking, sales, customer service, frontline roles? Was that what you were doing?
No, I was at back office. I was in corporate banking. I was a credit analyst. So analyzing, companies to see if you're credit worthy.
Right. I'm surprised because
Yeah.
I would have thought that for somebody as outgoing and as vivacious as you, they would put you in the frontline roles where you meet with customers,
No, I was in corporate, but that was the heart of the bank,
I know.
so I was very happy there.
Did you love it?
I loved it, absolutely. I learned so much. I mean, Albert, I'll tell you that one of the reasons why the Hair Center is the way it is because I've leveraged a lot on my experience from the bank. Okay, customer service is the way that it is because we had a lot of training with, in terms with when it comes to corporate banking, we had a lot of training and that helped me a lot.
Would you be one of those who advocates that if you really want to grow a big brand in your small business, one of the benefits will be to first work in a corporate environment and understand how they work? Would you say that was a good foundation for anyone seeking to build a big brand?
Okay, it's a great foundation, no doubt about that. But I don't want it's not cast in sand and stone, okay? Because our works are different. What we get exposed to shapes what we become. There are people that have built successful businesses who didn't work in corporate organizations, but they are doing very well. So basically, it depends on the individual, your mindset, your disposition, your purpose. What do you want for yourself? And who are the people that inspire you and equip you with the skills needed to succeed?
Some argue that the kind of skills you need to start a business are not the same as the ones you need to grow it. And so very often the entrepreneurial mindset that starts the business turns around to itself destroy the business after a while because you still want to do things the same way you did them when you were starting. And now that it's grown, you need structures, HR, and if you're not familiar with them, they become almost like an infringement on your rights as the founder. What would you say to that?
Okay, so first of all, Albert, we need to establish a vision before you start that business, and which around here we don't do that. First, we don't do our due diligence. The second is that we don't have a vision. Where do we want to go? A lot of times, we live in a system, and we have to be very honest, mediocre. The standards are very low, okay? So you do something small, and then suddenly people start hyping you and saying, wow, you're out there and you're doing so well. So if you're not careful, you're going to go to sleep, you're going to have this premature sense of arrival, and you're not going to push on. And so you would realize that you will have this little success and think that, wow, I'm okay. And you will not understand the need for you to incorporate certain principles if you intend to scale. So not that Ghanaians cannot build successful businesses or start businesses. We cannot build sustainable models because often it's not tied to a vision. We don't know where we're going, okay? And another thing I also realize is that we make money the end. So once they get the money, they go to sleep. But at the Hair Senta, what we have managed to do is that money is the means. So if money is the means, profitability is the means, excellence, we need to pursue excellence to be able to make that money, and that money helps us towards our end. Our end goal is to serve. And our success has leveraged heavily on the fact that we're not focused on making money, we're focused on serving, we're focused on making people happy, women confident, and that has been the greatest blessing to the brand.
I love the word blessing because people don't often use the word blessing to describe their businesses. We'll come to your faith very shortly, but let me rewind back to where I began. I began with the daughter of a very successful entrepreneurial icon, Video City. Everyone knew Video City. What kind of person was he, just for the benefit of those who didn't know him?
Okay.
A generation may not know Video City, but in our days, he was huge. What kind of person was he, just for our own curiosity?
Okay, my dad's full name is Charles Gyimah. He was an entrepreneur. He was somebody who was always curious, okay, to find out the why and the how. So this led him to start videos, where he would travel. And the first time he saw a camera, he was like, wow, this is very interesting. I wish I could take it back home and explore. So you realize that GBC and all those guys, I grew up with them because they would come to the house and they will film, or he would, give out his machines for them to use. He was also one person that was more focused on serving, like I said earlier, because he saw the system of clothing in the country and realized that, wow, in as much as we are progressing, when he looked at how people were dressed, he felt we could do better. So he started what we call the Bruniweru business.
Right.
And he was a pioneer in that business. And so I grew up with a lot of Bruniweru around me. It was normal for me to wear fos, where people shied away from wearing, second-hand clothing. It was very normal for me.
Because that's what he did.
That's what he did. And right. So many people, he brought the Nigerians who came to Ghana and were seeking for some sort of employment or entrepreneurship. He worked with most of them, and then Ghanaians who came to buy, the goods and then retail them. So not only did he make money out of that, he also created opportunities for other people, and that is what I think made him a legend. He was also a giver. And then, of course, Video City, which was also one of Ghana's video streaming, live streaming.
It's interesting how the business model has moved significantly away from the two lead products that marked his time.
Yeah.
So fast forward several years to what you are doing. When you were young, did hair ever feature? By the way, you're looking great.
Oh, thank you.
And your hair must be, of course, Hair Senta.
Hair Senta.
What else would you wear? But growing up selling milk powder and trying to find your entrepreneurial roots, foundations, did hair ever feature in your thoughts?
The unique thing about me, unlike many other women, is that I did not have hair. I still don't have a lot of hair, so I used to see hair as this special thing. The first thing I ever looked at when I saw any girl was the amount of hair that they had. And I would say, hey, mama, look at their hair. They have so much hair. So my luck made way for my gain. You know, I did not have something that I wanted. And out of that, I was able to create something that today I'm enjoying.
So help me to understand this.
Yes.
You are saying that you naturally did not have a lot of hair.
I don't.
And admired those who had hair.
Yes.
And that thought
Yes.
led you to create a product for people who are not blessed with a lot of natural hair.
Yes, people like me.
To be able to wear it.
To wear it, you know. So for me, getting into hair was not about, you know, just any business. It was about a need that I had to fulfill for myself and other women like me who were going through issues. And then, of course, other women who also want to change, because we women like to have options. So there are women that have a lot of hair, but they want to, you know, every now and then switch to something different. So we provide that need. But more importantly, the bedrock is to solve a confidence problem for women that are just like me.
Let me ask you, Gwen, would you say that when business is about meeting a need you can identify with, the chances of success are higher?
Absolutely. You know, there was a philosophy, my own philosophy, I call it the gap and the need philosophy. You see, as entrepreneurs, we're flying drones all the way up. And as we fly those drones, we identify gaps. And when we come to the ground, you know, we tell somebody that, wow, do you realize that there are these specific gaps here? How is it that it's not being filled? But in as much as we identify those gaps, it's very important that we align those gaps with a need. And that's where the problem is. So we will identify gaps, which in this case are opportunities, but the opportunity has to connect with a need. Other than that, it's just going to be something that is going to be admired, but you're not going to get the engagements that you need.
And you say the two things that you try to solve are the need for confidence and the need for options.
Yes.
Tell me about options.
Options of hair.
Yes.
Okay.
So can a person look like, for instance, a Greek today, California person tomorrow, Philippine? Just help me to understand. Okay. I'm very curious. Okay. Help me to understand what options means in the world of somebody who does hair extensions. Okay. Walk me through it.
Options. So first of all, you need to understand the fact. The fact is that man is insatiable. We get one thing, we want something else. And so this was also a unique opportunity for me. So how am I going to leverage on man's insatiable need? By providing options, because, you know, intrinsically we all know who we want to become and how we want to be perceived. So somebody would, we have different themes, that we sort of place on the hair. So we have the corporate hair, which is for somebody who wants to look like this very serious corporate woman, this power force. So we actually have gone ahead to name some of these products against what you intend to be perceived as.
Really?
Yes. So if you want the power hair, we have the power hair. If you want the corporate hair, we have corporate hair.
So folks, you are seeing on your screen different types of hair and their captions. So you know, just so you know,
yes.
This is news to me because for me, hair is hair, and I have none. I have, just for full disclosure, for those who are listening on radio, not watching on TV, but I have no hair. But you are saying that just like you wear a shoe with different colors, with different intentions, high heel, low heel, flats, you're saying hair is like a cap you can put on.
Yes, you know, you can throw it on because you see, it's very simple for us. You need to understand the customer. The customer is coming to you because they want a need that needs to be fulfilled. So instead of you making the customer burn mental calories, deciding what should I go in for, simplify the customer journey mentally. You know, they are driven by how you are able to emotionally connect with them. So we connect to them emotionally by simplifying, you know, the way in which they shop. So if you want corporate hair,
you actually are crazy.
And it works.
No, let me. You see, last week I recently had an interview with Janet Sunko-Mills.
Oh,
and she mentioned, among others, that in different jurisdictions, your work or the cultural philosophy of the people may require you to look differently
Yeah.
from how you would look in another jurisdiction. So, for instance, in a particular country, looking a particular way, slim, is the way to go. In another place, looking like a powerful force, what you call power hair, is the way to go. So she described a situation where body weight had to be adjusted in a different jurisdiction. But you are saying you don't have to go to that extent. Your hair could do it for you.
Oh, your hair, I mean, no, she's right. She's correct. You know, in this case, I like to be specific. For hair, yes. But if it has to go with, because I don't see the connection between hair and, the way
I'm just talking about the hair part, the philosophy of hair. You're saying that you can look a particular way in the morning and look a different way in the evening. I
love, you can do that. But I also love consistency personally, because, every time that we live our lives, perception is being formed about us. Outsiders are forming their own perception about us, and of course they are also listening to what we say about ourselves. So you can decide that this morning you're going to wear a straight wig, and then this evening you're going to wear something curly or whatever. But usually I advise that you're a little bit consistent. Just the fact, just because it's not your hair does not mean it has to look like it's a wig, And I think that's our uniqueness. In as much as we sell hair extensions, we sell the hair extensions that you can own and say, this is for me. This is by me. Because if you look at somebody like me, I didn't have hair. So in as much as I want to wear hair extensions, I don't want to wear it and, flip over in the evening. I'm wearing this. No. I want to stay consistent and make it natural.
Let me cross over to a very uncharted area of this conversation. For somebody of faith, you believe very much in celebrating who God has made you.
Absolutely.
Would you, by any stretch of imagination, say changing your hairstyle is a departure from what God gave you?
Okay. So first of all, I'd like to say this. The success of Hair Senta is because God is a part of our business model.
Right.
He's incorporated there, and it works. And as Christians or as children of God, we also need to understand that God is more interested in what is happening within us. What is happening outside of us, we live in a world where we get exposed to so many things. But at the end of the day, if a wig, wearing a wig or wearing, something that does not affect, because we have to be careful how do I even say this? Wearing a wig, that will not hurt anyone. I don't see how that will sort of shock circuit your blessing from God.
Right.
Or make you less Christian.
Right.
I don't see how that.
So you still would wear this?
Oh yes.
And celebrate.
And celebrate the goodness of God. You see, because hair, I sell human hair. I don't sell synthetic hair, which is plastic that has, I sell human hair. Where does human hair come from? It comes from God. So we are doing God's work.
Really?
Yes, the raw material is from God. I've not heard of any company that has been able to manufacture human hair. You cannot do it. The same way that they cannot build humans, they cannot manufacture human hair. So human hair is God's work. And that is why it's successful.
This is Springboard, your virtual university. I get to hang out with Gwyneth Gyimah Addo, the CEO of Hair Senta. Started her business in her car boot in 2009, and today, several years later, has built a brand that has crossed over into Africa and is a leader in this market in human hair extensions. Just trying to understand how the little girl in the iconic entrepreneur's house journeyed into a bank and then came out and started her own business and built what has become today a very visible brand. Gwen, let's just go back again to entrepreneurial foundation. So let me explore the part where you walked away from the bank. Was it difficult?
It was difficult.
Why?
I think because of the relationships that I had built. It was difficult because I had fear of the unknown. What is going to happen when I go out there? But then I had what Pastor mentioned today, and it was very interesting. I had the strength and the courage within that even though I don't know what is out there, I am convinced that I am going to make it work. I remember when I started, those emotions and that fear materialized, because here I was and nobody was entering the store. I'd gone to, first I started selling from the trunk of my car from 2008 up until 2012. So whilst at the bank, I was still selling. I would go downstairs, break time, and then show them the stuff. And then on weekends, my mom would also go around, because I'm tired, and go around to salons. So in 2012, by God's grace, when we were able to get our own shop, I thought that was it. But that was untrue. It was a fallacy. Because a lot of times people think, if I have that store, then that's it. It's not. If you have that store, people must need the product. If they don't need the products, they're not going to come. So nobody was entering, and I started getting frustrated. People would come and say, it will not work, and here I was from a background of creativity. And so my branding was very strong. I was focused on paper bags. People would come, what's the need for a paper bag? And I said, well, the need for it is that it's part of our visibility strategy. People are going to see this paper bag on the floor and say, what is that? So even if you look at our billboards today, you would realize we will just place the Hair Senta, just that, because we want to imprint that brand name on your mind. So when you think hair, you think Hair Senta.
Were these all influenced by your banking experience?
Customer service by my banking experience. It was mostly influenced by my brothers. George was one person that, he's my coach now, my brother, my coach. And he's the one that ensured I never went to sleep. And then OG was the brand creator and always protecting it and making sure. And he was the one that actually ensured I trademarked it, because he said, no, you have to protect this.
Gerald.
OG Gerald, yes.
Just for full disclosure, Gerald has been a big part of our Springboard journey. Was very instrumental at the beginning, supporting us with our creatives. Gerald has been a big part of the story. He's a big alumnus of this.
I didn't know that.
He's huge here.
Wow. Oh,
so when I came over to your conference the last time, you realized I hung out with him quite a bit. Gerald is huge here.
I'm very happy
and
to
here
hear
at Springboard, we never forget anyone who sowed a seed at any time in our journey. Lifetime relationships we never ever forget, and Gerald is a huge part.
Thank you so much
of our journey.
Thank you so much.
Truly love him here.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be very happy to hear this.
I had to mention this today.
Thank you.
But so for you, so your brother coaching you, George coaching you, Gerald branding your stuff.
My husband, who was Charles, the one that believed in me, despite all the boyfriends I had before. I sold the idea to them, but nobody, took it seriously. They looked at my outlook and said, this doesn't look like a serious business person. She probably will not. So it didn't work.
What was it about what you were saying that didn't make people believe it?
When you're young and you're a happy-go-lucky person, especially around here, people tend to conclude and feel, well, this is what you are. They don't give you the chance or even think that there is a chance that you would transform. They don't believe that God can change all of us. And so I think they looked at my current situation and they did not take time to read my mind.
Whoa.
Yes.
Was the older version of Gwyneth a bit wild?
Oh, the older, I was out there, I was wild. I was at the parties. I was everywhere, and I was just a churchgoer and a believer, but not a doer. That was what I was. So I couldn't fault them. But here came a man who knew that this too shall pass. Okay. So this person who believed in the philosophy that this too shall pass was my husband. And that's why I always mention him at the interviews, because he believed that I could do it. And that's why he was willing to also place some money on the table.
When you count your blessings, I'm sure you count all these relationships.
Oh, I count all these because they were a blessing. They were my wake-up call. If they believed in me, I probably would have been mediocre. But just because they did not believe in me, it inspired me to become better.
Say this again.
If they believed in me, I'd become mediocre. But because they did not believe in me, it inspired me to become better.
Oh, they did not believe in what you were doing then?
They didn't believe in my success. They didn't believe in my success. And when people don't believe in you...
Oh, you mean the doubters?
Yeah, the doubters.
Oh, I thought you meant your family, your close relationships. The doubters. Okay, so the skeptics and the doubters rather inspired you.
They inspired me. Big time.
Great.
Big time.
Are we guilty of stereotyping? Do we give up on people too easily?
I think we do. You know, like the old saying goes, never judge a book by its cover. We say that, but we don't mean it. We're always judging books by their covers. And that's why I think it's also been the issue in Africa, okay? Because we never give people the chance. We look at people and we think, oh, you know, they can't do it. They can't do it. So let's bring somebody else, you know? And culturally, we've been, you know, raised in a way that we're not able to speak up. So even when people discard us and say we cannot do it, we're not able to stand up and say, hey, don't say that. I can do this, you know. But hopefully the new generation, you know, is changing. The story is changing.
This is Springboard of Virtual University today, working through in the engine room with Gwyneth Gyimah Addo, the CEO of Hair Senta, trying to unpack the story of her life. The various chapters are beginning to unfold as we have this conversation. We'll go for a brief break and pay some respects to our sponsors, MTN Pulse, UMB Bank, the Enterprise Group, and of course, the graphic business. Talking of which, on page 18 this Tuesday, you will find this full story in print and online for your continuous consumption, if I may use that word, because these lessons are edible, they are visible, they are memorable. When I come back from this break, I'm going to find out from Gwyneth the version 2 of Gwyneth, the African journey, the expo that brings people from all across the continent, and how far that little seed in the car boot has grown to become a mighty tree. Please don't go away.
In a world where you can be anything, who will you become? When you can go anywhere and never be alone, how far will you go? When your voice can reach every ear in the world, who will you inspire? When your money can travel faster and further, who will it reach? When you can tell a story in every language, which one will you tell? When you don't need permission to turn your dreams into reality, you go for it. Whatever it is, wherever it is, go. And when you think you've reached your limit, we'll keep you going. Let's go.
There once was a man who had it all. He had skill, he had charisma. He was loved by all, but above all, he knew the importance of helping others, lifting others up. He knew the importance of giving other people an advantage so that they too would use that advantage to help others. All you need is that advantage that sets you apart from the rest. And when you discover that advantage, life's challenges don't seem so daunting anymore. That's where we come in. Enterprise, your advantage.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation. Over the past 45 years, we've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
Welcome back to Springboard, a virtual university, and to the engine room, where today we literally are dismantling the piston rings and looking into the engine of the engine with Gwyneth Gyimah Addo, CEO of Hair Senta. A story that we are unpacking in a very special way. And that's why I love the engine room. It just gets to bring out some amazing experiences you won't find anywhere else. And for those who just joined us, or those who love notes like me, these are the lessons so far from Gwyneth. The first is about entrepreneurial foundations. Her father, Alan Gyimah, was a consummate entrepreneur in his time with Video City and guess what? Second-hand clothing. He was the boss in those two areas, and she grew up trying to find her own space by selling milk powder. The second lesson is about standards. She says that people often hail you prematurely for a little success, and that can prevent you sometimes from aspiring to greater heights and force you to settle if you don't look beyond where you've reached. The third one is about vision and due diligence. She says it helps to imprint or paint a clear picture of where you're trying to go with your business very early in the day, so that you keep pushing and pushing beyond wherever you have reached. The fourth point is about cash. She says money should not be the end. It must be the means. Excellence should be the end, and ultimately it must be about serving people. The fifth is about celebrating God's goodness. That's my favorite. She says, God is more interested in your heart than your hair. She says, so as a person of faith, she won't wear the hair she wears with pride because it's God's creation. And she says, in fact, at Hair Senta, she thinks they are doing the work of God. Very beautiful. The sixth one is about the need philosophy. She says, it's easier to succeed in a business that meets a need that you can identify with. She says she had no hair or very little hair. She still has very little hair. And so what is today Hair Senta is actually meeting a personal need that became also meeting the need of many women out there. And the two things they provide: one, confidence, and two, options. And talking about options, she says the fact that there are options doesn't mean you should wear green hair today, red hair in the evening, and then blue hair in the afternoon, one curly, one wild. She says there must be consistency in your image. Paint a clear, consistent image. That's number 7. Number 8 is the fear of the unknown. Walking out of the bank, she was afraid of the potential risks of starting a business from a booth. And she says those fears came to pass, because even after she started her own shop, things became difficult, but she navigated her way. We'll find out what she did beyond the shop. Number 9 is very special, about relationships. She says everyone needs people who will believe in you, not the old version, but the future that lies within you. She celebrates her brother Joe as a coach, Gerald as her brand person, and of course Charles, her husband, as her biggest cheerleader. Relationships, relationships, and relationships. Gwyneth, let move on to your Hair Senta show at the International Conference Center. About 2 years or so ago, I was blessed to be the special guest speaker at that one, and I was amazed at the size and scope of the exhibition, with people traveling from different countries to exhibit here in Ghana. Walk me through how many countries were represented and how many exhibitors did you have at the show?
So with the exhibitors, we had a little bit over 100. And then we had people from Nigeria, we had people from the UK, the US, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, where else? The Gambia, different countries.
I met and interacted with them when we went to the tour.
Yes. And this was our maiden show, by the way.
Give me an idea about what you sought to do with that and how you pulled it off.
Okay, so it comes back to the end goal. The end goal is to serve people. Now, we realized, my team and I, it was Famous Films and then Hair Senta who collaborated to bring Hips Africa. We realized that the industry was not respected. It wasn't honored enough. Now, if you look around, there's so many women, there's so many salons around, there's so many people that say they are getting into beauty, but there's really no respect for it. A lot of times people think, well, uko school now also be beauty, but that has changed. You know, people that are educated, people are doing what they do because they are passionate about it. So Hips Africa was basically supposed to give them a platform to become visible, also to teach them how to do business and That's why we had those classes that were ongoing to sort of educate them that having the business is not enough. You need to study ways in which you can sustain the business. And the way in which it was structured was so attractive. It was just like any show we had been to in the US. And that's why people were so confident about coming to Ghana for that show.
Do you feel that you are on a mission?
Definitely on a mission.
What do you want to achieve?
Excellence. Our country is filled with mediocrity. Too much hype. You do something small, you're hyped. So I think we need shows like these, and we need to really push people to do more. And so even though it's a show where we're doing, sort of exhibiting our stuff, the end goal really is to push the industry to a very high level, to be recognized and make our businesses scalable.
Help us to understand what you are trying to achieve with the fair, with this mission.
Yes.
What's the end game?
The end game is to project African businesses. We want to make African businesses relevant. We want to inspire them and give them that confidence. My heart has always been to serve people. And so anytime I interact with people, the first thing I ask is, how is business? And that is why, the Hair Senta Foundation was served. We're offering free business strategy sessions just to help people. So really the bottom line is to serve and to get people to that excellent level where their businesses can actually be sustainable.
I'd like to explore your African footprint. Give me an idea about your operations outside Ghana.
Okay.
Whether it's networks you built or physical presence. Give me an idea about scope.
Okay.
How scalable has this become? What's the footprint like in Africa?
Okay, so for the business or for Hips Africa?
Both.
Both.
They are
Okay, so for Hair
intertwined.
Senta, okay, yes. So for Hair Senta, you would realize that, of course, we're based here in Accra, and we have branches in Kumasi, then we have a franchise in Kuforigia. We also have distributors all over the continent. We have Kenya, we have Liberia. Now, what these people do is that instead of them collecting hair from, let's say, China, they collect it from the Hair Senta, because we've been able to build that track record that they can trust. So what they do is they lift from us and then they sell it. So instead of us trying to have that presence in other countries, which tends to be expensive, what we have done is we've leveraged on a trusted brand, which makes other people comfortable to lift our products and then sell it to other countries. We're also in the US, also distributorship, that's in Virginia and then New York. And then we're also in, where other countries? My head of wholesale should be here. We're in the UK, And
Help me to
yes.
understand. And I'm curious about every single industry that I hang out with in terms of their leadership. Are the needs of women in Ghana similar to the needs of women in, let's say, Kenya, Nigeria, the UK, the US, in terms of hair?
Oh, yes, they are. So if you look at the French countries love color.
Okay.
They love, the gold, the reds, and all of that. But if you come here to Ghana, we're a little bit conservative. We don't want to wear red hair. So back in the day, when I did not understand my business, I made the business about me. And that was one of the reasons why I failed earlier. I was lifting products that I liked. You see, and that's the problem we face in this country, where people start businesses and they make it about them. The business is not about you, it's about the ones that you're serving. So you need to understand, what do they need? So businesses that are more interested in the success of their customers are businesses that actually do well.
So you're saying that you typically will stock the kind of hair that you
would wear? Oh, yes, I would wear. And the business was going nowhere. So I go and I'm like, I don't like this. I won't buy it. I don't like this. So when they come to me, I try to force them and say, this is what is up. This is what will make you. But people are set in their ways. We all come from different environments. You can't force me to wear red if I don't like red. So we need to adapt. We need to understand the markets more.
Does it require research?
Due diligence, heavy one. But we don't do it. We think it's about money. And I always say, if it was about money, every rich person, or in fact, any person that is connected to somebody that had money would have a successful business. It's not about money. You need to understand the market.
How important are questions?
Questions are absolutely important. Questions get you the why. And once you have the why, you're going to know your how.
So why do the Francophones wear red hair?
Well, they wear red hair because I've actually not really understood it, but I think culturally there are people that may be, fun-loving, bold. Like I said before, I tend to think we are a little bit on the conservative side. So black is safer. A few of us are daring. But if you fill up your store with what you think is out there, you're going to be in trouble, especially as a startup. You need to understand that you need to start small and start wise. Okay? Now, the wise is relative because sometimes you will get it wrong as a startup. But you don't just wake up and say, because I have this money, I'm going to buy a plethora of, different colors of hair because it's going to work. And then next thing you know, your investment is locked up, which was my story.
Tell me about the most difficult phase of your business, because I get to talk to people about the bright side of their stories, but I also get to explore sometimes the darkest moments, those moments where you felt, you know what, America said, come in, bank. No. Did you ever face a moment where you said, Charlie, if there's an opening, I'm going back to the bank?
Well, I I never wanted to go back to the bank, no. But one of the things... Like
giving up or something?
I felt like giving up.
Tell me about that one.
First when I started, before I even had the store, I'd invested an amount of money into the business. And I selected things that, like I said earlier, I liked. Not things that the market needed or even wanted. And so that really had a hit on me because I lost everything. People will not pay me back my money. And, I was chasing people around. And I remember my husband's advice. He said to me that, Gwen, if you start your business by extending credit to people, you're going to use all the time that you should be looking at running your business to chasing people for your money. And at the end of the day, you're not going to get any work done. I ignored that advice and I said, they will pay me. And eventually I lost everything. And people will not come to the store. I felt that once you have a beautiful store, that's it. It's not true. You have to have a product that people need. So people invest in the wrong things. They invest so much in making their stores nice or they say location. Location may work with real estate. Yes. But even that, you need to understand your markets.
But absolutely. Gwen, if you set up for somebody, let me say that if your business is guest contact business,
yes,
and you are looking at, let me give you two scenarios. If somebody was setting up to cater for market women who walk in to do a certain service, obviously location would mean setting up close to, let's say, Makola, Kaneshi market, where the numbers are. If you are aiming at a certain upper class society, you will go towards an East Legon Trusako, where obviously the demographic that you are looking for resides. If you are looking at students, you want to go a campus location. Isn't location important?
Okay, so it depends on what you're doing. Are you a service business or your products? Okay, is it services or their products? If they are products, the products can be moved. Okay, but a lot of times we sit there and have a product business and then sit down and think that people need to come to us. What we need to understand is that if the market will not come to you, you probably will have to move to the market. Or if the market is such that they want to inspect the product before they buy, yes, well, you can move to them. In my case, right, I started a business, don't forget about me. So I stocked hair that was expensive, that aligned with certain, type of people that I believed had that pocket size. And that's why I set up my first location in East Legon, thinking that these people would come to me. They did not come. One thing I did not factor is some of these people actually expected you to come to them, even though they were in that same location that you were at.
Right.
They believed that they were high enough that you should pack up, close up your store and come to their house and show them your wares. I didn't factor all of those things in. Another thing I forgot to mention was, people, we need to listen to our customers. They would always tell us the truth.
Comes to the questions.
I was not listening.
Right.
They were telling me, we want this. They go and I tell my shop girl, these people, they are so interesting. I should go and bring this for what? I don't like those types of things. And I was making it about me again. So they gave me the clues. So For almost 3 years, nothing was happening. I was not even breaking even.
How bad was it?
Oh, it was bad.
You're broke?
I was broke and, you know,
Angry?
I was angry and, you know, the bankers will call me, Gwen, how is everything? I say, hey, it's going well, but I was suffering, you know, it wasn't easy, you know, because and that's the thing I say about social media. Social media can paint a picture. And so I always say, if you live your life by the measure of what is exposed to you on social media, you're going to be in for some big trouble.
Tell me about that.
Because social media can sell you a dream. Social media can make everything look like, oh yeah, this is good. This is going on very well. And so somebody will sit out there and say, you know what, I am going to invest in that business, or I'm going to start that same business because it looks successful. It may look successful, but is it successful? So we need to go the extra mile and do our due diligence to really find out some of these truths. And that's what we're not willing to do. We just want to take up a picture, draw conclusions, and start businesses and fail tomorrow.
Interesting points that you share. Let me come to you a bit more personal. Let's talk about faith. Faith. You've alluded to the fact that you believe you are doing the work of God.
Oh,
You've alluded
yes.
to the fact that God is more interested in your
Yes.
heart.
Yes.
Let's talk about you as a person of faith.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Share your faith with us. Help us to understand what your foundational principles of your faith are.
Okay. You know, I don't know if I've ever spoken to you about our sales before, but when we have a sale, we have the first person come into the store maybe around 10 p.m. the night before. Then the other, yeah. And then they come and sit outside. And then some sleep in their car. Some come at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And these are people that they see each other and then they number themselves. So sometimes they send you stories that, look at us, we are outside your store.
Really?
Yes, and we have thousands of people come through. And at a point I saw that, listen, I don't understand why the brand is going the way it's going. Because we know what we do, but we know our power does not extend to that level. So we knew that this has to be the grace of God. We wake up in the morning and we know it's not by our strength. It's truly by God's grace that we're able to do what we do, because we're not some multinational. Yeah, we are multinational in terms of, reach, but, we're not this...
traditional.
Yeah, traditional, maybe like an iPhone where you see people sleep. But now that's what it's become. So I realized that this must be a ministry. So people started following me personally, okay, because of the success of Hair Senta. And then I realized that if people are following me because of the success of Hair Senta,
following you on social media.
On social media, because I didn't have a personal page then. So they used to ask me, what is the secret? What is the secret? And I realized that there really was no secret. Of course, you have to work hard, but we believed that if you trust in God, all things work out together.
Are these principles applicable to anyone who's doing a different business from hair? Anyone? Are these principles that you are talking about?
Integrity.
Trusting God. Okay.
Integrity.
Tell me about that one.
Loyalty, honesty, curiosity. And he tells us to become like babies, if to enter into the kingdom of God. And basically, as business owners, we're not curious enough. We're not humble enough. We lack integrity. And I think the principles that I've learned from the Bible are the same principles that I have applied to my business, and it works. I'm not interested in a quick fix. I'm not interested in taking your money and not delivering. So if you look at the word of God and you look at doing business and doing business effectively, you realize that they are connected.
Really?
Yes.
Let me come to the times when you mentioned that you were very, very broke and going through difficulty. Mm-hmm. Did you find a day when somebody came through either with a solution, a breakthrough, an order that you said to yourself, tell this one God sent you. Without this particular order, I would have gone down. Like an angel sent from God.
Yes, I'll tell you what happened. So I traveled to this country one day. And like I said to you before I was just a believer. I was not a doer. Quite sorry, yes, I go to church, but I never really studied the principles. So I started praying. So I remember I went with my mom, and then in our hotel room, I said, Mom, let's pray before we go out, because this is the second time, or was it third, that I'm going to come to this country and then take my money back. So let's pray that God connects us. So we were in the room and then we prayed and went out there where, we had all these different suppliers. So there was this particular hair that I used to get from a Korean company who were based in Chicago. And, it was an old company, and they made hair in a way that I knew was not very common for you to find it in certain areas. So, and I looked at the store, that supplier. There was nothing attractive, Albert. There was nothing, it even looked like synthetic hair. But there was that particular hair that made me go there. And I said, let me just go find out. So I went in there, and that was how I met my business partner today, who came into my business, and the business went 360. But what I want people to understand is that, you see, God will lead you to places that are not the obvious places that man will lead you. Man is full of perception. Man is moved by what you expose to them. So, you would see a nice building, a nice supplier with, a fancy building and a car, and say, oh, go there, Gwen is going to help you. But God will lead you to places that don't seem like, the ordinary place or the usually attractive places. And that's where your breakthrough is.
Interesting.
Yes, and everything. My business took a 360. Big time.
I'm going to come back to you to wrap up for us, Gwyneth, because surprise,
Yeah.
we run out of time.
Oh.
But for some people who are listening out there, you're saying, what's this voice that you're hearing? This is the voice of Gwyneth Gyimah Addo, the CEO of the Hair Senta, a business that has become symptomatic with hair, human hair extensions here in Ghana and across Africa. We've been talking about the Genesis, the Exodus, the Leviticus, the Numbers, and the Deuteronomy of her business, the Hair Senta. And these are the lessons that I've gleaned from this conversation. I've shared them with you earlier on in the midpoint, but I'm going to run them by you again, and let's have a big conversation on social media. Which of these lessons do you say, that is my story? Let's talk about it, and let's see how we can inspire each other to build global brands, African brands, thriving brands. So Gwyneth says her foundations were laid by watching her father, who did business, the great Alan Gyimah, doing business as Video City and then also as a second-hand clothes dealer. The second one is about standards. She says, people may hail you early in life, but don't let that discourage you. Keep pushing on and don't settle for less than the best. The third is about vision and due diligence. She used that word quite a few times. Due diligence. Craft a picture of where you are going and let that picture guide you along the way. The fourth is about money. It shouldn't be your ultimate. The ultimate must be excellence and serving people. The fifth is about celebrating God's goodness. She says the hair itself is a gift from God, and God is more interested in your heart than your hair. And so for that reason, she sees Hair Senta as doing the work of God. Number 6 is about the need philosophy. When the business meets your personal need or a need you can identify with, you are more likely to grow it. She says she herself didn't have hair, and so in meeting her own need, she met the needs of others, and it became a widely appreciated business, providing 1, confidence, and 2, options. The 7th one is about consistency. The fact that options are available doesn't mean you should just put on different colors at different times. Have a clear, consistent image. Number 8 is the fear of the unknown. She says, there were times when she said, this business I'm leaving the bank to do, what if you run into difficulty? And she says, those times did come, very tough moments along the journey, but somehow she pulled through by the grace of God. Number 9 is about relationships. The people God sends your way who believe in your version 2 in the future and not your wild version today. And she celebrates her brother Joe, her brother Gerald, and her husband Charles as people who believed in her future. The 10th is very interesting. Appreciating customer preferences. She says the Francophones like the red, the yellow, and the wild colors. Ghanaians like conservative colors. And she says you must ask questions, listen to your clients, and don't buy or sell what you like, because she did that and ran into very serious problems. The more you ask your clients, the more you will understand what they want and provide it, and thereby grow your business. Ultimately, she's a woman on a mission to make her industry respected, not just across the continent, but across the world. Gwen, it's been a very interesting, instructive hour, talking about something that I don't have myself, And I would typically not talk about hair, but it's been also a very nice learning process for me, finding out more about hair and everything that happens around it. Please look in the camera to somebody who is hustling, maybe at the point where you felt, shouldn't I just give up on this thing? And tell them whether maybe an angel of God could come in the form of a Korean shop in a country you did not mention. That's your camera, Gwen. Talk to somebody who's struggling and give them some hope.
If you're watching me today, what I want to tell you is that everything is possible. Okay? If you look at Philippians 4:13, it says that we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. I want you to never give up. Okay? Before that breakthrough comes, you're going to go through challenges, and those challenges are not meant to break you. They are supposed to shape you. So don't give up, please. And the 4 things that I want to leave you is something I picked up from Don McGraw-Rees. The number 1 thing is let your word be impeccable. If you're in business, what you say you're going to do, please do it. The second thing is that do not assume. Ask questions. We don't like to ask questions. Let's always make sure we don't become, people that are just assuming. Let's ask the right questions and we will know the how and the why. Then the third thing is we must never take things personal. Okay, if you're going through challenges or people are not buying what you're providing, don't take it personal. Use that as an opportunity to do better. And the last one is that do your very best. We live in a country where mediocrity is celebrated. I don't want you to have that in mind. So instead of you thinking about competition, I want you to have the mindset of dominance. And that is how you will succeed. I love you and God bless you.
Beautiful 4-legged stool on which to end this amazing conversation. Thanks, Gwen, for coming through.
Thank you. Thank
and
you
that
so
has
much.
been Gwyneth Gyimah Addo. Everyone calls her Gwen, CEO of Hair Senta, sharing her life philosophy and everything inside the engine room with us today. Till we come your way again next week, a big thank you to MTN Pulse, the Enterprise Group, UMB Bank, the Multimedia Group, and the Graphic Business for partnering with us on this journey. And I would like to remind you, on Tuesday, just open to page 18 of the Graphic Business and you'll see Gwyneth smiling at you and telling you this full story in print. And you would also find it at My Joy Online and also at Graphic Online. On behalf of Team Springboard, led by Comfort, my name is Albert Okran, saying God bless you, and God bless you.